Good evening, folks. We are live once again. Had to do a little bit of setup today, but I think we got everything ready to go. So let me go ahead and switch everything over to the right layout, and we'll get started with the spicy Q&A. Alright, we're going to put the BGM playlist on in the background. It's not just dead silence while I'm talking here. We should have audio video. I haven't used this background in a long time. We haven't done kind of just a hangout stream in what seems like forever. Hey, I see Red Dragon is here. What's up, Red Dragon? Welcome to the chill stream? We'll see how chill it stays. I know it's really late in your time zone. I'm surprised you're here, but hopefully my suffering will be worthwhile. So feel free to hang out. Hope your day went well. I know it's really late where you're at. All right, I think everything that I need set up is set up. Before I actually start stuffing my face, I'll kind of explain what we're going to be doing here today, since I haven't done a stream of this format in a while. I think it's been like 2 years. So to celebrate surpassing the 200 follower milestone here on Twitch, I told my community, the Space Bees, that I would do something to celebrate once we pass that milestone. And what I've asked them to do, both on the Discord and on my Twitter, is give me questions to answer. And kind of a way to give my opinions and whatnot in like a forum discussion. I have accumulated said questions, but to make it more interesting, as is very common on the internet, I have prepared a plate of spicy noodles. These are to my right here. You can see they're the Bulldog Korean spicy noodles. I picked these up from the Asian market not too long ago when I went. And these 2x ones are known for being hot. They're known for being really spicy. And there's a lot of people on YouTube and places like that have done, quote unquote challenges eating these, and they're just losing their minds because they're decently spicy. I have eaten these before, but it's been a while. I know they're hot. The hottest thing ever, debatable, but they are hot. Red Dragon says, why not put the photo you posted on the screen? I could do that. I might have to scale it down a little bit because it's really wide. But let me do that. I might even be able to skew it so it looks like it's sitting on the table. Let's see, I'll put the same one I posted in the Discord. Let's see, I might be able to crop it a little bit. You don't see the rest of my kitchen countertop. There, I'll put it right there on the edge of the table. It'll cover the drink. And so what I'm going to do while I'm eating, this is kind of like a mukbang type stream. I don't really do them. I don't particularly think people like to listen to the sound of me eating. But for this one, it's special because we're going to be answering questions. So let's test out what I have set up. I did a slideshow of all of the questions that have been captured from Twitter and Discord. And these were captured as written. I didn't rewrite them and then take a screen cap. I just took them off the message thread. So for you folks who posted them, you're going to recognize your own posts here on the stream. But I'll put this one right up here, and I'll scale it up so that it's decently sized. But I'm gonna read out what the question says. I don't want to block the chat completely. And what I'll do is I have the photos themselves on my main screen so I can look at them. I don't have to keep looking over at OBS. But I will start by eating some of the noodles and then answering the questions. We'll go one by one. And then if people in the chat live on stream ask me questions, then I'll stop and do those. Like I mentioned, these noodles are pretty hot, but because one package is an okay portion, I wasn't sure if I'd have enough for the entire stream. This is my dinner. I'm eating dinner while I'm talking with all of you lovely people. So I made 2 of them. That's 2 packages and 2 packages of the really spicy sauce that you put on them. That's why they're that kind of dark color. In addition, you could see some meat on them. I had a package of frozen chashu pork that someone had given me a while back. And it goes really well with noodles. So I have some meat here too. Meat itself's not hot, but I'll be kind of eating a mix of both. The heat will be unavoidable. And we'll see how long it takes before I'm either snotting everywhere or physically dying. I figured I'd do kind of like a mini challenge within a challenge. We'll see how long it takes before I have to drink something. I have a thing of milk over here and some water, but let's see how long it takes before I have to physically drink something. I will eventually. I'm not made of steel. Let me put the mic a little up here. I don't want to get sauce all over my mic either, but you should be able to still hear me all right, and I'll try not to smack directly into the microphone when I'm eating and answering questions. So I will start off with the first bite. Oh boy, noodles have fused into a solid piece. I tried to make these right before we started so they'd still be hot, but they've kind of stuck together. All right, first bite. In celebration of 200 followers here on Twitch. Whew. It does have a kick to it. I will say for the record that the Bulldog spicy, the 2 times spicy noodles, they taste really good, but they are brutally hot. And it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. All right. So we're going to go down the list of questions and we'll just talk through them. Question number 1. This one came from Twitter. It says, what video game genre is the most underrated? That's an interesting question. I would have answered this one differently a couple years ago compared to now. A couple years ago, if you asked me this question, I probably would have said maybe strategy games, like real-time strategy or something like that. But I think my answer is different now. Hey, first time chatter from Walkie Shocky. Hey, Walkie Shocky. Fellow Monster Hunter player, right? Walkie Shocky says, hey man, this is crazy. I just happened to finish making a Bulldog as well. Haha, what color are you using? I have it on screen here. I wanted to put it on in case someone asked like that. But I'm using the red 2 times spicy ones. I made 2 of them. And I'm eating them with some chashu pork. That's what the little screen cap to my left is. I took a picture before the stream. So yeah, we're eating spicy noodles while answering community questions. But welcome. Hope you are enjoying your meal as well. So I'll answer the question here, and then we can talk about it a little. So, I would say the most underrated video game genre, and you can see them up on the top of the screen. I'll tab through them. Walkie Shoggy says, I just finished making the yellow one. Is that the curry one? I have a whole bunch of them that I bought at some point. The curry ones are good. The carbonara one is interesting. All the different flavors are pretty different, but they're all very spicy. Oh, cheese. Yeah, I have the cheese one too. Very interesting to put cheese on like instant noodles, but it works. All right, All right, I'll take another bite since I've been taking too long to answer the questions. Also of note, it might be tough to see in the screenshot in the corner, but the green stuff that's on the noodles in the screenshot are green onions, which I like to put on my instant noodles or my noodles in general. Those came from my garden. So, garden watch update. Fresh green onions. All right, answer the question. I think the most underrated video genre is factory and auto sim, which is not a genre I really knew anything about a couple years ago. So that's the type of games like Factorio. We've played through Dyson Sphere Program here on stream. Another big one is Satisfactory, which may or may not be showing up on the channel very soon. But the idea of being in a world and having control over technology that you build and automate, and sometimes there's combat involved in games like DSP or Factorio. But it turns out that does scratch an itch on my brain that I really like. And the idea of tinkering around with builds and trying to make an efficient factory setup while exploring and fighting off hostile life forms is pretty fun. And I think it's gotten more popular over the years, but I wouldn't say it's a super common genre. There've been titles that have been kind of blowing up, so people have been seeing them. But yeah, I would say factory auto sim games, they might not be the most exciting to watch, but I think they're really interesting to talk about. I thank a couple of my friends for getting me into that genre of games, and now I can't get out. All right. Next question. And I should be able to tab through. There we go. On the broadcast. So this question also came from Twitter, I think. The darker background, dark mode, I believe, are all the Twitter posts, and the lighter ones are from my community Discord. So this question is a food question on topic. So let me see. I'll grab some more noodles. I'll get some pork too. The question, cake or pie? I feel like this is a hotly debated question on the internet sometimes. So I'll answer this one directly. I say cake. And I've had some disagreements with other people that are diehard pie supporters. And I don't dislike pie. I just think I like cake better. And the reason for it is this. I like the flavor distribution and texture distribution of a cake more than I like in a pie. And I think the main deciding factor for me is that you have less flavor distribution due to the crust on a pie. The trade-off is you have texture, and sometimes you can have flavored crust, but in general it's more of a texture complement to the filling and the topping. That's all well and good, but I like having more of a distributed flavor throughout, which is why I tend to gravitate towards cake more. I like kind of like layered cakes that have like a fruit filling or whatnot in between. I've been on record here on stream talking about how I don't like chocolate cake. It's just too sweet for me despite me really liking chocolate. But yellow and white cakes I'm a big fan of. I've talked about how marzipan layer wrapped cakes are one of my all-time favorites, and I never really get to eat. But I think you can get a slightly more distributed flavor with cake, but the texture of pie I think is better. I'd still have to give it to flavor on that one. I do think it's noteworthy to say that you can have savory pies, which is pretty cool. Can't really do savory cakes as much, but like meat pies, pot pies, stuff like that, those are good. And you can't really do the equivalent with a cake as much. Cakes tend to be a bit more dessert focused for the most part. I mean, ideally, I'd have both, but hey, if I had to choose one, cake. All right, next question. And like I mentioned before, as folks come and go from the stream, I'm going to see how long it takes for I have to drink something. My nose is already sweating, which happens whenever I eat something spicy. But I'm not at death's door yet. But this next one is on topic. So this one asks, what's the hottest thing you've ever eaten? And let me grab some more of these noodles here. All right. The hottest thing I've ever eaten, thinking across all the different spicy things, I like hot sauces. I like these types of like Asian spicy noodles. I try not to eat them all the time because I don't want to destroy my lining of my stomach, but I do like them. The hottest thing I've ever eaten was the Pocky One Chip Challenge. If you've been around the internet a while, I'm sure most people have at least seen videos or heard people talk about it. I did that, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago. It was at the insistence of my younger brother, who tends to get me into trouble a lot. But he bought a few of them online. He sent me one. And originally one of his buddies was going to do it too, and then he chickened out. So my brother and I, we don't live in the same area here. We got on a video call, and what we did was we ate the chips live to see what would happen, and then we waited to see how long we could go without drinking anything, which is part of the Pocky challenge, right? If you go an hour without drinking anything, you've passed the maximum level of the challenge. So we're going to try and do that. And the iteration of their one chip back then was the single most excruciatingly painful thing I've ever eaten. Didn't taste good. Unlike these noodles, the one chip is pure heat, and it's kind of bitter. At least they changed the recipe. The one I had was kind of bitter, didn't have a good flavor, and it wasn't crispy. I think it absorbed a little moisture, so it was a little bit softer, not as crispy like a tortilla chip, because that's what it comes out of the package looking like. It's a tortilla chip. And I know something is hot when my ears start to ring. You see people talk about that when they eat hot sauces, and like the Hot Ones challenge with Sean Evans, and people are, freaking out over spicy stuff. I've had that happen with these noodles, but it's not doing it at the moment. We'll see. But the one chip challenge immediately made my ears ring, and it was brutal. But the thing is, it was hot and painful for about 20 minutes. And then it started to kind of taper off and fade. And I'd say after about 30 minutes, the searing heat was more or less gone. It was still kind of just lingering. And so my brother and I ended up going the full hour. It was painful, but we went the whole hour without drinking like any milk or eating ice cream or whatnot. And after the first 25 to 30 minutes, it was bearable, just a little bit painful. And so thinking about all the videos I saw before we did the challenge of people, recording themselves and then like puking their guts out and screaming, and like some went to the hospital and whatnot. I guess it comes down to your tolerance for heat. It was hot, don't get me wrong, but I no point felt like I needed to go like screaming to the toilet to barf all over the place. I don't think I've ever had that sort of reaction to something, at least due to its heat. So I'd try it again, see if they've changed the recipe or see if it's gotten worse, because I imagine they keep upping the ante for the formula they use. But yeah, hottest thing I've ever eaten, the Pocky One Chip. I don't recommend doing that unless you really have a high tolerance for heat. All right, let us move on. This one also came from Twitter, I believe. This one asks, what's the most embarrassing thing you've written a song about? Okay, it's a music question. I think a little bit for this one, but I do have an answer. For folks who don't know my content too well, I do make music. the majority of the stuff I make is instrumental BGM tracks that are meant to be used as royalty-free streaming assets for people who make content. In addition to that, I kind of dabble in other things too, just for kind of funsies. I've done a couple YouTube videos where I've done like just silly rap songs about stuff. The first time I actually released a song was one I did recently for my peer and friend Wazi's birthday. I made a song and I gave it to her. It's kind of like a mix of like a dance song with like a female chorus, and I put my own rap lyrics over that. But the most embarrassing song I've written, you folks haven't really heard unless you follow one of my other peers who's a YouTuber, a fella named Soggy Froggy. He does kind of parody videos every once in a while. He recently released one where he makes fun of Persona. And he contacted me a while back and asked me to make a song parodying the style of the Persona battle themes, which if you think Persona 3 specifically, where it's got like the kind of hip hop, like jazzy hip hop songs like Mass Destruction, I think is one of them. He said, "Can you make something kind of in that style for me to use in the video?" I said, "Sure, I can write something." So I collabed with one of my other friends, and I wrote a song called "Nice Guy Threat," which is featured in very briefly in that video. And so you only get like a few bars of it, so he used it as a cut in for one of the gags he was doing, but that's a fully fleshed out song. And I'm gonna release it once I finish recording the parts that I did for it. The parts you see in the video with the vocals were my friend TV. And the way the song is written, I wrote all the lyrics for it, and I created a pretty simple, jazzy, like hip-hop instrumental using my loop station. And so the whole thing is basically a big, like, joke about incels and quote-unquote nice guys. And I think it's kind of funny, but it's absolutely intentionally cringe. So I would say that song's probably the most embarrassing thing I've written. And hopefully in the next couple months or so, if I get a chance to just finish the recording, I can upload it. It'll be a demo. I'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll probably put it on Spotify too, if I can make sure the quality is good. But it was a fun one to write, and we actually did write a remix too that has different verses. So maybe I'll do kind of like a single release where I put the original version and the remix version up, and you folks can listen to it. I think it's funny, but it is intentionally very, very cringy. That's the point of the song. I can't remember. Did I take a bite of noodles? Well, just in case, since they're starting to get colder, I'll eat some more. Get some pork. We'll kind of double up here as we move on to the next question. Let's see, we'll go here. I have to tab over in two places to make sure I'm updating the stream and looking at these live on my screen at the same time. All right, I need to take a bite for this one, back to back. The reason why you're seeing my model dip like that is because I'm trying to lean down over my desk to eat so I don't splatter sauce everywhere. All right. So this question says, what do you think is an overrated superpower, one that everyone wants but you don't? This one came from the community Discord, I believe. So what do I think is an overrated superpower? I'm going to say super strength. It's fairly common since you have like Superman and any sort of Superman type being, or you have like Saitama from One Punch Man, all that stuff. Super strength is cool. I just think it's kind of the vanilla of superpowers. It's strong, but it's kind of like the one note. That's it. I was gonna say flight initially, but I don't think flight's overrated because of its utility. I think it's I'm more confident in saying super strength to be overrated to me. I think if I was gonna choose a superpower, and I don't remember if this is in the question listing, so if I answer it ahead of time, I'll just reiterate it when it gets into the lineup. If I was gonna choose a superpower to have, I think it'd be telekinesis. The ability to move or manipulate things with your mind, I think would be very, very useful. Both from a utility standpoint and also from like an actual in a fight type of ability. It's probably not a hot take. It'd be nice if it comes with telepathy too, but assuming it doesn't, I'd say telekinesis is what I would choose. Mind bullets. All right. Moving on. All right. I think I see what happened. All of the sauce is at the bottom. So the bottom of the noodles, as I get closer to the bottom of my plate, are going to be hotter than the top. And that's going to be fun. Let me get some more here. Oh yeah, that's more saucy. Ooh. Okay. I didn't realize these questions were back to back. But I can expound a little bit more, even though I've answered the first part of the question already. So, what superpower would I have? It would be telekinesis, but the way it would work, it would be like a mental or mind-based telekinesis. So, I'm not talking about like the Force, since aspects of the Force and like Star Wars lore, they can do telekinesis stuff, but it's not meant to be like a psionic power, I don't think. So it'd be more like kind of like a Professor X or like a Jean Grey in an X-Men type of ability for telekinesis. And hey, Equestrian Alaskan is here. I don't know why my in-window chat didn't update. Yeah, I missed Red Dragon's messages too. I guess it lost connection. I'm gonna put the actual OBS chat over here. It updates live. As I see Red Dragon was talking about how flight would work, and he said for superpower he would take portals, that's a cool idea too. Like a Doctor Strange style, or like the ability to create a gateway type thing. Yeah, that's pretty legit. But yeah, question. Welcome to the stream. I am eating very spicy noodles while answering burning questions from the community. And I'll kind of mention it throughout too. I don't want to just repeat myself a ton, but you can also ask me questions and answer live. I'm not just going off of the stuff you see on screen here. I will stop and answer any questions that people ask me in real time. Again, assuming they're appropriate and not going to get me in any trouble. So, yeah, psionic or like mental-based telekinesis is what I would choose for a superpower. Probably not the most exotic take, but I think between function and overall strength, I would go for that particular ability. Teleportation would be cool too, but I think the potential to teleport like into a wall or something and mess yourself up would be a risk. All right. Let us move on to the next one. Let me grab some more noodles. I'm going to mix them a little bit. The ones at the top are definitely not as hot as the ones on the bottom. All right. I'm sweating like crazy, especially on my nose. It's not destroying me yet. I haven't drank anything, and I know I can say that and lie, but honestly, trying to deceive people is more work than just being truthful. So we'll see how long it takes for I have to drink something. It'll happen eventually. So this question asks, between a canceled project getting a chance to shine or a dead franchise revival, what would you choose for either? That's a really good question. Ooh. I will answer kind of both, since the question is saying, what would you choose for both? For a canceled project getting a chance to shine, and folks in gaming might remember this one from a little while back. I think I've talked about it before. But I would have loved to see Scalebound, which was a game being developed by Platinum until Microsoft killed it. And it was supposed to be kind of like a DMC plus Monster Hunter or like monster riding type of character action game. And it looked really cool, but it never got the chance to be released. I actually saw demos for Scalebound at PAX. This was many years ago, for the pandemic. But the same year I met the Platinum guys and got them to sign my copy of God Hand was when they were showing off Scalebound. I have a poster that I got signed as well. I haven't put it up. It's in my closet somewhere. But the game was looking really cool. And then Microsoft just said, nope, we're just going to kill the project because it's not meeting our expectations or something. It was taking a while. It might have gotten delayed a few times. But man, the concept of like being like a Dante-esque character action dude, and you have a big dragon that you can kind of ride around on and fight things. The concept looked really neat, and they adapted a lot of those mechanics for Bayo 3, I think. Some of like the big kaiju type fights were probably adapted from the Scalebound tech. But man, it would have been great. I feel like Platinum's reputation, especially since Kamiya left like last year, we'll see what they do. You know, Bayo 3 was good. I think it was a solid game, but it wasn't phenomenal. I'd say above average. We were talking about mid yesterday. I wouldn't say it was mid. I'd say it was above average. But compared to DMC 5, it was not on par. And Bayonetta games always kind of stood shoulder to shoulder, I thought, with games like DMC, which very much inspired them. Here, I get to the second part of the question and eat some more noodles. Cool. As far as a dead franchise revival, I kind of mentioned it in the earlier part of the question when I was talking about meeting Platinum, but a franchise or title, quote unquote, series I'd like to see revived is God Hand. You folks will hear me shout it from the rooftops all the time. There's only one game, but God Hand is one of my all-time favorites. In my library of top 10 video games, God Hand would be in the top 5. And I have to think long and hard about what would populate 1 through 5, but it'd be up there. And the idea of being able to take the idea, or the concept rather, of a really intricate beat 'em up with like over-the-top action, like a silly cast of characters, and tons of customization for gameplay, and making it like modern, it would be awesome. But sadly, I don't know if it's reverted to Capcom. Who owns the rights to God Hand? This was made by Clover, and they don't exist anymore. I guess it's probably Capcom, but I don't know if we'll ever do anything with it. But one can hope. Alright. Let us keep moving. Alright. Let me grab some more noodles. I'm eating about a third of these things so far. Ooh. Hey, Lava King's here. What's up, Lava? Lava's redeeming a stretch. Ugh. Oh, my nose is running. Hey, welcome to the stream. We are a few ways into the questions. We haven't gotten the dinosaur ones yet, so you didn't miss them. All right. So this question asks, what is your dream MVC roster? So Marvel versus Capcom. And that's also a really good question with a pretty complicated answer. I would say, what I'll do is I'll pick a couple of characters from the Marvel franchises and some from the Capcom. I won't do like the full game roster because we'll be here forever. All right. Heat's definitely kicking in now. So let's start with Marvel. I think a lot of the characters that have been picked for Marvel vs. Capcom games over the generations have kind of run a big spectrum. There's the ones that were in the old ones, like MVC 1 and 2, and then 3, and then Infinite, kind of focused on the more modern MCU characters and franchises, with things like the Avengers movies being out and then wanting to tie in a lot of those characters. I think I would go more obscure for the Marvel side for characters to include. They wouldn't be like way out there because I don't know comics too well. But if I were to pick a handful of Marvel characters that we haven't seen featured in the MVC series, first one, I'll pick a couple of villains to start. First one, Sauron. That's a villain I always thought was pretty cool, and I never hear anybody talk about that guy. He's like a psychic dinosaur man. He's a big green pterodactyl man. And I think if you were to put him into an MVC game, he'd have a really cool moveset. I think he has like telepathic powers in addition to just being a big green dinosaur man. So I would definitely pick Sauron. Another one from the villain side I think would be cool would be Mr. Sinister. One of the really well-known overarching villains of like the X-Men specifically. I think most people tend to think about folks like Magneto or Apocalypse as some of like the big antagonistic forces, but Mr. Sinister is pretty noteworthy throughout the series because he interacts with a lot of the cast. He fights the X-Men a lot, and he's pretty powerful too. Lava says Sauron is a meme character. Yeah, that's the point. I think you could do some really fun stuff. Like one of the most famous memes featuring Sauron is the Spider-Man one, where Spider-Man's talking to him. And he's like, "You have the technology to cure cancer. Why don't you do that instead of turning people into dinosaurs?" And Sauron is talking to him. He goes, "Because I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs." It's a really funny exchange. But you could probably do some interesting things with Flight and give him some cool combos. Lava says Mr. Sinister would just be a Doctor Doom clone. He has more kind of like energy-based abilities too. I don't know. I don't know a ton about Mr. Sinister. I know he's just incredibly powerful and shows up a lot. I think that would be interesting. I would also want to bring back another character that hasn't been in a modern Marvel vs. Capcom game for a while, and that's Gambit. He was obviously in X-Men vs. Street Fighter. He was in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, I believe. But he hasn't been in any of the recent ones. I think they can give him like a more modern moveset. And have Channing Tatum voice him. Red Dragon says Squirrel Girl would be funny. Yeah, that's another good pull. Squirrel Girl is a bit more of an obscure character in Marvel. I don't know much about her, but I think you could probably do some fun stuff with a moveset for her. Let's see. We'll do a couple more characters out of Marvel, and then we'll go to Capcom. I think Bishop would be cool in Marvel vs. Capcom. Probably try and differentiate his style of fighting from someone like Cable, since they're both kind of like gun users, but their abilities are a little different. Let's see. Let's think of one more. I'm going to say Scarlet Witch, since she got a lot of more exposure thanks to the MCU stuff. Whether they went for like the comic interpretation or the more modern one, I think you could do some cool stuff with a character like that. You could do a lot with just her powers in general. Here, I'm going to grab some more noodles. This question is going to be a long one to answer. I think the longer I take between eating, the more it gives the heat a chance to kind of dissipate. So if we're going to keep up the pain, then I need to maybe eat a little bit more frequently between answering questions, because I tend to yap. So if we jump over to Capcom, one of my characters that I've talked about before that I'd love to see in an MVC roster, Jean from God Hand. Of course, that's a lot of people's pick for a character. Another one that I think I've seen people talk about, but no one seems to agree on which one. Walkie Shocky says, I'm so glad I added extra cheese to mine. Did you do like the Kraft single? I know that's a real popular thing when adding cheese to like the instant noodles, is to drop in like a Kraft single square when it's hot and let it melt and mix it in to give it kind of more of an elasticity and a creaminess. Or did you use like shredded or another type of cheese? I'm gonna eat some more of the pork. Okay, tried it once and hated it. So did you go for, what kind of cheese did you put into yours? Did you go for shredded? Okay, so like chunks from a cheese block and then microwaved mozzarella. Okay, all right. I'll have to think about that. Okay, well, I was going to say for another entry in the Capcom side of a Marvel vs. Capcom roster, Ryu from Breath of Fire. I think people have talked a bit, but they can never agree on which one from which game. Excuse me. Obviously, I'm biased because Breath of Fire 2 is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So I'm going to say Ryu from Breath of Fire 2. Maybe give him the option to switch. Keep the moveset, but switch the model between like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. We talked about... Did I answer the question about a... Oh, I did. I said God Hand for the series to revive, and the other one. So a runner-up to that question for a series I'd love to see brought back is Breath of Fire. I don't know if Capcom's ever going to make another one of those. They had some terrible mobile cash-in game a few years ago, but that's it. Might be dead, but if we got a new Dragon's Dogma, why not bring back Breath of Fire? But let's see. Who else would I say from the Capcom side? You know what I think would be cool? I think if they were to add a Mega Man X character that's not one of the heroes or Sigma. Sigma was in MVCI. Obviously, X and Zero and regular Mega Man have been in the games. Walkie Shocky says, especially if you have watery noodles, cheese absorbs it, makes it very creamy. Nice. Yeah, I could see that. It gets a bit more kind of like a cream sauce, like a cheese sauce. Lava asks like who, Vile or Dynamo? Those losers? No, see, what I would do is I would go for a Robot Master, not one of the main villains in the Mega Man X series. So I'm gonna pick one that seems kind of random, but I think I can explain it. Yeah, one of the Mavericks. I think this is Mega Man X2. I'm gonna say Flame Stag. And I think about a fighting game moveset, right? There are a lot of cool Mavericks across the different series. Obviously, everyone likes Storm Eagle. I think Sting Chameleon's pretty cool from the first X game. In X, I believe it's X3, there's a bunch I like. I like Toxic Seahorse. But I'm going to say Flame Stag because you could do some really cool moveset stuff. It's like a deer with fire antlers. And he has a really cool theme. So if you work his theme into a video game, it'd be awesome. Yeah, Robot Master would be old school Mega Man. And Mavericks for the X series. Magma Dragoon's cool, but that's X4? Is that X4 or 5? I didn't play through a lot of the PlayStation series. I played a little bit of X4, but I never beat it. I know the Super Nintendo ones more. So I kind of think about how moveset would work, and since Flame Stag is very fast and kind of dashes all over the place and lights stuff on fire, you do a lot of like fun air combos and cool stuff. So that would be that'd be my choice. Lava says fix that. Yeah, I should pick up one of the collections and give it a try. All right, I'm gonna eat some more noodles while I think about some more Capcom entries. Let's do one or two more, and then we'll move on to the next question. Oh, it went up my nose. Oh, one sec. I thought I was going to sneeze. That definitely wouldn't be good to do right next to a microphone. Okay. Thinking of, let's see, Capcom properties. I know there's been a handful of Darkstalkers characters, so I'm not as inclined to put someone on there, but since the cast is so diverse in Darkstalkers, I'm going to say Lord Raptor. I think you could do a lot with a current iteration of his moveset from the older games. Got a rock and roll zombie guy. I think he's British or Australian in the original animated series. Wow, says Captain Commando. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't bring him back. Okay, Raptor's Australian. I just have the voice in my brain a little bit. Yeah, Captain Commando is on my original MVC2 team, actually. That's a good one. Was Cadillacs and Dinosaurs a Capcom beat 'em up? If so, then pick someone from that series. Pick like just a random pro tag from there. Lava says Raku play the beat 'em up collection. Hey, you misspelled my name again. Yeah, I probably should. There's a lot of good ones in there from back in the day. All right. So I'm going to move on from that. I could talk about like a dream roster for MVC forever. There's so much stuff. But let's move on to the next question. Oh, let me get back in my window here. All right, let me grab some more noodles. I see Lava yells from the heavens. Raku buy the Beat 'em Up and Battle Network collection. Okay, I'll get around to it eventually. Are they on Steam? I know the Battle Network collections are on Steam. And the Beat 'em Up collection's on Steam too. Maybe if we do kind of like a throwback, like retro game stream, I can look at playing through them. We'll see. Okay, this question asks, what's the biggest TV you had, not lengthwise, but back size? This is kind of a weird question. I never really got any clarification on. So as far as like the back depth of a TV, I would say a TV that I had a long time ago, probably before any of you were born. It was a Sony, and screen size, I want to say, was maybe like a 20 something inch. Is small, but it was a home TV back when, before flat screen technology. But it was in combined with speakers. It was all wood housing with a CRT. It was a cathode ray TV. CRT with speakers built in with a wood frame around the whole thing, and the whole thing was like 300 pounds. And it was massive. It was not super wide on the screen because the screen was small, like standard for TVs in like the 80s. So screen size wasn't super large, but the whole housing itself was just massive, and it was wide, like width-wise and depth-wise. It was really big. I remember when we got rid of that TV eventually, it took several people just to lift it and get it out of the house onto like a disposal truck. It's insane to think nowadays you have a TV that's 3 times the size of those that weighs a fraction of it. Like I have a flat screen TV that's kind of old. I think it's I don't know the dimensions. Might be like a 50 inch maybe, but it's so light I can just pick it up and carry it by myself. Walkie Shocky says Chungus TVs, I miss those. They had kind of a nostalgic feel to them, but they weren't efficient. Like that old Sony TV, it looked kind of nice from a furniture perspective. You could stack stuff on top of it if you wanted to, but compared to like when flat screen or plasma or LED or LCD technology came up, it's like it couldn't compare. And it's different if you have like a home entertainment system type setup, but this was literally just a TV with speakers. And like Walkie Shocky says, they were simple. They were simple. It was just like a couple inputs, like VGA inputs for additional devices, and that's pretty much it. Nowadays, if you have a really complex home entertainment system, here, let me grab some more noodles while we're talking. Nowadays, you have so many different interfaces for sound and video. If you have a home entertainment system, a really complex one, you'll have like a central receiver, like a stereo deck. Some people have sound bars, which are a little more simple, or like 4 different remotes. I don't really use my TV for anything, so I don't have an elaborate setup, but some people I know have some crazy things at home. It's like, oh, make sure you use this remote to control this stuff, and push this one in order to get everything to turn on. It's like, man. Or you could just have a PC. It did have a radio function too. I was talking to, I don't remember who I was talking to recently. Someone much younger than I am. I'm very old. But I was explaining the whole concept of VHS and videotapes. And it seems like such archaic technology now, because it is. But between videotapes, audio cassette tapes, prior to CDs, man, now everything's digital. I actually wanted to watch one of my DVD collections for the old anime Outlaw Star, which is one of my favorites, and I don't have a DVD player. I have to go like dig one of my PlayStations out of storage and hook them up to my TV. And I went to go put the DVDs in my PC, which is where I do all my content and streaming, and my DVD-R drive doesn't work anymore. It won't read. It turns on, it opens up, but it won't read anything. So now if I want to run any sort of DVD media on my computer, and a lot of my old data backups are on DVD-Rs, I gotta go buy like a USB DVD drive, which are cheap. They're like less than $50. But everything is digital now, so you just don't see that. All right, let us move on to the next question. Interesting one, though. Talking about TVs and hardware. This question asks, what actor would you want to play your OC in a live TV program? OC me being me. Who would I want to play me, Raku BPM, in a TV show? And I thought about it because I don't watch a ton of movies and watch TV, so I don't know a lot of like who the big like newer younger actors are out there in Hollywood and who's popular. But if I was to pick someone to play me based on kind of like demeanor and style, even though it might seem weird, I think I can justify it. I would say Keanu Reeves. One, I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's a fascinating guy and seems like a really nice person in real life for a celebrity. But because I'm kind of a mellow, chill person, even though you'd have to work on the visuals a little bit, maybe give Keanu a shave and give him a blue anime boy wig and some headphones, and I think he could do it. I thought a little bit about who else would kind of match that type of energy, and I couldn't really think of too many other ones that I think would be in line. So yeah, I'm going to stick with my boy Keanu. He's out there living his best life. All right. That was a pretty straightforward question to answer. Next up, if you could learn one spell, what would it be? The spell wish isn't allowed. Okay. Let me grab some more noodles. Still haven't drank anything yet. Like the 2 times spicy noodles are hot, but I think the fact that I'm talking so much in between eating is making it easier. So I'm gonna try and eat a little bit more. I'm gonna run out of noodles though, and I don't want to do that. Whew. Walkie Shocky says, I hope you choose locate object. That's pretty funny. Relevant, of course. Interestingly enough, because I started playing D&D a couple years ago online with a group of people, I think I would have had a different answer to this question prior to learning a lot about D&D spells. Especially since I play a bard in the campaign that I'm in with an old friend of mine who's DMing. My character is a dragonborn beatboxing bard. So I got a chance to learn a lot about spells and whatnot. I think I'm going to say Mage Hand. Kind of in line with when I talked about superpowers and telekinesis. The ability to manipulate things from afar and without physically touching them, I could foresee being so useful when it comes to being able to do things from farther away or from safety in the case of danger. I think would be really useful in a fight. If someone doesn't know you have the ability to manipulate things from far away, it can help you out a lot when it comes to throwing off an attacking opponent. I just think that the functioning utility would be really useful for something like Mage Hand. Thought about Magic Missile too, but that's primarily an offensive attack spell. So I'd be curious to see what other people say here. Red Dragon says he might need that spell soon as he is old. That's also true. As my bones continue to deteriorate and I get older and more feeble, the ability to do things using magical ability would be very handy. On topic of magic missile, Walkie Shocky says it would never miss. That's true. Lava says I want Eldritch Blast or Thunderclap. Interestingly enough, in the last episode of our D&D campaign on Tuesday this week, we had a big fight against a couple really powerful creatures, and I used a spell from with my bard that I'd never used before. It was a level 4 called Rolithim's Psychic Lance, and it locked down one of the enemies for the entirety of the encounter. That was actually pretty dangerous, and it couldn't do anything because it failed its check and was incapacitated. It basically stun locked 2 attacking targets. It was really funny. Lava asks, okay, is Raku like 40? Well, first off, you misspelled my name again. Just for the chat's general awareness, I only call Lava out every time because it's a running joke. As one of my mods, I feel like it's even funnier if he misspells my name. So I'm not attacking him. It's just a running joke. Okay, it's a bit. Lava says, okay, is Raku like 40? Brother, I wish I was 40. I am older than that. The retirement businesses send me mail every month. All right, I'm going to eat some more noodles. I am not close to retirement, but I wish I was. Walkie Shocky says, I'm already forgetting a lot of things that I would love to locate. That's valid. I can definitely relate. If I don't leave my stuff in the exact same place, I will absolutely lose track of it and go nuts. 2 big things. Keys, wallet, always in the same place whenever I leave or return to my house. Put them down in the same place going out towards my garage. A couple times I didn't do that. They got misplaced or like knocked off a counter, and then it was over. Red Dragon says I'll take any healing spell, like a cantrip. Yeah, I think if I were to think of a non-utility spell, I'd probably go for something support-based, like healing. Cure Wounds is nice, or Healing Word. Just because, hey, you're going to get injured at some point. So, yeah, I think that's pretty valid, too. I'm sticking with my original answer of Mage Hand, though, for my first choice, but I think I would do that before, like, the big, catastrophically destructive things, because assuming I'm not in a D&D world, the function of having something like Fireball, while it is cool, not really as functional. So yeah, good question. All right, let us move on. Okay, that's an interesting question. What's the one item you would have from any universe? I don't remember if this was part of another question. Let me look in the community Discord, because it's a relatively small channel. Let me double check where the question came from and see if I cut off part of it by accident. Yeah, I know this one came from you, Red Dragon, because it was right next to the spell one. Let me look. These are in order too, thankfully. Okay, so this is just a standalone question, just making sure. One item that I would have... You know what? I'm going to piggyback off of Red Dragon's answer from the spell question. I'm going to say a healing item. So thinking about what it means across different things, I'm going to go like a fantasy item, like a healing water. Think Zelda. Just like a bottle of healing water that I could like keep on my person. I don't have a bag or a purse or anything, but Like, just something to keep on hand in case of an emergency. You know, get into a car accident, severely injured. Healing water. Stub your toe in the dark trying to find something that you can't see. Healing water. Someone says something really mean to me on Twitter and hurts my feelings. Healing water. This question didn't specify if we're talking like a magical item, it just says one item, so I'm going to broaden it to like a potential magical item or artifact, just for the sake of funsies. Because it says from any universe. If it's a physical item, like a real world item, probably my phone, since it pretty much does everything. I can't remember if I ate enough noodles. I'm going to eat some more anyway. It's getting cold. Second place for thinking fantasy items, bag of holding. Another item I wouldn't really know much about if I didn't play D&D. Lava says I want the deck of many things. Yeah, that's valid too. The reason why I say a bag of holding is for pure utility purposes. You ever need to carry something that you don't have enough space for? Bag of holding. All right, let's move on to the next one. We're making good progress. I think we're about halfway through the community questions. Okay, make sure we're in the right window. Next question, fantasy or sci-fi? Another really good question. So I thought a little bit about this one as I was putting these together. I've seen these questions, but I didn't commit them to memory or anything, so I don't remember the order they're in. But I do like fantasy a lot, but I'd have to say sci-fi. I like the idea of advanced technology and like alien stuff more than I like fantasy and magical things. Even though one of my favorite video game franchises ever, which people here shouldn't be surprised by, is Monster Hunter, which is definitely more kind of fantasy adjacent and versus sci-fi because it's not like far future high tech. I think my preference in genre of things is, again, futuristic, far future technology, advanced, pieces of tech and tools, and or things that have to do with aliens. I think that stuff's awesome. And I think that kind of extends to media too. If I was going to see a movie, I think I'd be more interested in a sci-fi movie versus a fantasy one. There's some good fantasy series. Like, I got no problem with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is cool. But if I were to compare like a Lord of the Rings standalone movie to like Alien or Aliens, which is like far future sci-fi, right? I'm choosing Aliens. One, because I love xenomorphs. And two, I just like the idea of coming up with concepts for tech and alien life forms and such. Yeah, good question. All right, next up, okay. Question is dinosaur or robot? I think this was Lava's question. Lava King is our resident dinosaur expert. We'll get to your other ones pretty soon, I think, in the list. Coming up. It doesn't sound like you? I don't know. I could go back and look, but...
Money on my mother.
Oh, Jesus.
Mine. Cop 5 haircuts at the same time. White gold pants, jet ski made of wine. Foie gras bust of Albert Einstein. Get money.
Good Lord.
Money on my mother. Mine. Cop 5 haircuts at the same time. White gold pants, jet ski made of wine. Foie gras bust of Albert Einstein. Get money.
Oh, that's two different
Money on my
alerts.
mother, mine.
Oh, is it gonna
Cop
do it for
5
each one?
haircuts at the same time. White
guess we're gonna
gold
find
pants,
out.
jet ski made of wine. Foie gras bust of Albert Einstein. Get money. Money on my mother, mine. Cop 5
I think it's gonna
haircuts
do
at
it for
the
all of
same
them.
time.
That's
White
my
gold
my
pants, jet ski
my
made
sub
of wine.
alert.
Foie gras bust of Albert Einstein. Get money. Money on my mother, mine.
That's 6
Cop
total.
5
5
haircuts
from
at
Red
the same
Dragon and
time.
one from
White
Twitch.
gold pants, jet ski made of wine. Foie gras bust
Is that
of
a
Albert
Prime
Einstein.
membership?
Get
It
money.
doesn't really say.
Money on my mother, mine. Cop 5 haircuts at
Thank
the
you, Red
same
Dragon,
time.
for the 5
White
gifted
gold
subs.
pants, jet
And
ski made of wine. Foie gras bust
I don't know where the
of
Twitch
Albert
one
Einstein.
to
Get
Valiant
money.
came in, but all right, are you done? Is it done? Are we done quoting Wales from Hail Mary Mallon? It's a great song. Lava says, "Fix that." No, I refuse. I don't really get sub gifts that often, so we're gonna make it a special event, and you will hear that alert for each and every one. But yeah, much appreciated, Red Dragon. Thank you. Oh, it's a Twitch will give a sub when someone gives 5+. It's a bonus. Ah, I see. I've never seen that before. All right, in celebration, I will eat more painful noodles. Yeah, enjoy the sub perks, folks. Hope you further enjoy your stay amongst the Space Bees. All right, to answer the question, dinosaur or robot? I'm going to say dinosaurs. One, because they're real. And two, you can have dinosaur robots, but if you think about it from like an actual historical accuracy perspective, there's no such thing as the other way around. There are prehistoric robots, which would be cool. But yeah, I got to give it to dinosaurs. I think dinosaurs are cool. Back when I was playing Jurassic World Alive, I used to have more knowledge of the species like on hand because I had to learn about them as part of playing that game. But I've always been a big fan of dinosaurs, even as a wee larva. And I used to have a lot more of an encyclopedic knowledge of them. I don't know how hot take of a take that is. Robots are cool, but I think the historical lore behind dinosaurs is cooler. All right, let's move on. Here it is. This is Lava's question for sure. Yeah, you might have made the robot or dinosaur one. I just answered the question assuming it was preferring one or the other. Okay. I think the idea of like the actual real history stuff is cooler than the futuristic idea for now. All right, let me eat some more before we answer this one. Okay, we have a one-off question from Red Dragon. Before we answer the favorite dinosaur one, we'll do this one. That way I don't forget about it in the chat. Red Dragon asks, what one thing would you leave on Mars so that when NASA lands, they will see it? All right, I got an answer for that one. I would leave a disc on the surface of Mars that has a single audio recording on it. And when they find the disc and put it into... Oh, I didn't realize that was a hype train that Red Dragon caused. That's awesome. Again, thanks for that. It got kind of masked at the top. But when NASA retrieves the disc and they put it into a modern computer system and they play the audio recording, it will play Never Gonna Give You Up by my boy Rick Astley. And the idea that it would be there in the far, far future when they find it is even funnier. Because memes are eternal. And that's one of my favorite memes. All right. To answer the question at hand, courtesy of Lava King. I've talked about this before on stream, but it's been a while. And I don't think Lava was here when I talked about it. So I'll answer the question again. My answer hasn't changed, but I'll talk through it and explain, and then we'll see how much of a debate this causes. Oh, my nose is running. My favorite dinosaur is Dilophosaurus. And I don't know how common that is. I don't know a ton of dinosaur enthusiasts, but it's not an obscure dinosaur. But the thing is that most people don't really realize, especially when I say that, that was my favorite dinosaur before Jurassic Park came out, because I read about it in some old history books, and I really like just kind of the design. Yeah, it's the one with the two crests on its head. I don't excuse me. I don't like the representation of Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park because it's not accurate to the actual creature that existed. For those of you, I think everyone's seen Jurassic Park, right? But the Dilophosaurs are the spitters, the ones the frill and they spit poison. That's not accurate at all. They did not look like that, and they didn't behave like that in the actual history from what the fossil records have shown. In the actual confirmed from the fossil record history, Dilophosaur was a larger, like, apex predator carnivore. It was a hunter. It wasn't as big as a T-Rex, and I don't know if it was as big as like an Allosaurus or like a Carnotaurus, but they were big. They were a larger than average predator. And I forget what period they lived in. I used to know a lot more, but no one's pressed me for dinosaur lore in a while. But they're pretty cool, and these have such a unique design. I think the crests have something to do with, I think there's like mating habits and something else. They weren't poisonous. I don't think anything in the record shows they were venomous or spat poison. They were a regular predator. Red Dragon says, I would put up a sign saying, welcome humans from USA. You're the third country to come here. Nice. Bronze medal, baby. And Lava asks, you ever see Dinosaur King, the anime? I have not. It sounds familiar. Maybe you're the one who told me about it before, but I have not seen it. Does it have a Dilophosaurus in it? Because I would watch it if it did. So anyway, that's my answer. Again, not too thrilled with the image damage that Jurassic Park did to Dilophosaurus. When it showed up in the movie, I thought that was kind of neat. I was like, they kind of made it small, though. And then when the umbrella frill popped up and it started spitting venom, I said, that's a neat idea, but I don't think that's what they did. And since then, that's been the image of what those things are. I think in Jurassic Park lore, reason for why they did that is one of the reptile DNAs they spliced it with was like a frilled lizard. But no, if you look it up, that's not what they actually look like. Huh, the DS game had a Dilophosaurus, huh? Might be worth investigating. What about you, the rest of the chat? Again, I know I've talked to Lava about this before, and his favorite is Carnotaurus. For the rest of the folks hanging out on the stream today, what's your favorite dinosaur? No wrong answers. Lava says, remember, Odaku, the Jurassic Park dinos aren't true dinos because they're mutant clones. Yeah, you did spell my name wrong again. That's right. They were like spliced with reptile and amphibian DNA, like the frogs, which is why they changed gender and whatnot. And Lava also confirms there are wrong answers. I don't know. I feel like there are basic answers. I'm running out of noodles. Let us keep moving through the questions. So this next one says, Asian classical favorite element. I'm assuming this kind of ties back to the discussion that we were having about like the elements tied to the Chinese zodiac. So it's like wood, metal, and whatnot that rotates. I think this is Lava's question too, just to clarify. But thinking about it logically, I think I would say metal. Yeah, fire, earth, wood, metal, water. I would say metal of those choices. What about the rest of chat? I feel like a lot of people would say fire. Lightning. Well, according to the Avatar universe, lightning is derived from fire bending, so I guess to be categorized as fire. Valiant says, hello, I am rock. Earth, then. I think the next question here, which Lava put these back to back, is talking about the traditional, like, natural elements. So my answer is going to kind of change for that one. So what we'll do is we'll move ahead. And feel free to clarify, Lava King. This means, like, fire, earth, air, and water. Like, basically the Avatar elements. That's what this question was asking. Oh, fire, ice. Is it just fire, ice, and lightning? Oh, let me grab some noodles real quick. Ah, magic stuff. I gotcha. I gotcha. Ice. Because of the like traditional 4 elements, like the Avatar elements, my favorite is water. And so, like, an extension of that, of the ones you're talking about, I would say ice. One, because it's pretty versatile. You can use it to trap things. You can use it to create obstacles or to get to places like ice platforms or things to climb on. You can create weapons out of it. That would be my choice. Valiant says, hello, I am Magical Rock. Like a levitating attack rock. You have to go lightning plus rock. the boulder is here. Exactly. I don't know. I always thought earthbending was kind of an interesting idea in the Avatar universe, but to me, it really kind of took off when Toph created metal bending. Metal bending is rad. I'd probably be a waterbender, though. All right, let us keep moving. Getting almost through my noodles. I might be able to make it all the way to the end without drinking anything, but my mouth is on fire. It might not come across super well on the broadcast, but yeah, it's hot, but I think because I'm not eating constantly, it's not as bad as it could be. Maybe next time we do something like this, I'll do hot sauce and chicken. That was way more painful last time because the hot sauces were hotter than the noodles are. Let us move on. Lava says the problem is earthbending was shafted till metal and lava entered. Water is broken. Yeah, I think that's true because prior to the more advanced forms of earthbending, water still had like blood bending and stuff, which is pretty crazy. That's an insane power. If I made my own video game, what type would it be, huh? All right, let me grab a little bit of noodles here. This one's something I had to think a little bit about. So I think if I could make my own type of video game based on the design documentation that I put together, I may have talked about this a little bit on stream, but I've actually been writing up the concept for a video game for a really long time. I just haven't made it because I can't code. At this point, I've been able to create all the assets for it that I would need because I can do the art, I can do the music, and I have the idea for it, but I don't have the ability to code. I can't write program to save my life. I hate programming. But my game would be a scrolling shooter. And I'll give you kind of an overview. I don't want anyone to just rip my concept off, but the idea would be like a scrolling shooter, kind of like a top-down scrolling shooter. Think like Raiden or R-Type, but R-Type is a side-scrolling, not top-down, top-scrolling shooter. But it'd be a game like that, a real simple kind of arcadey premise. But the whole kind of core concept of the game would be built around customizing the ships, and kind of similar to how you in Monster Hunter you take down enemies and you get their parts in order to craft things. In this scrolling shooter, you would be incentivized to play through different levels more than once with like a branching pattern of routes to where you can go in zones. But between fighting enemies and bosses, you use their parts to craft new parts for your ship and or new ships themselves. So it's kind of like a Monster Hunter loop, but with a scrolling shooter. And I think the idea of making it so it's not just a linear playing start to finish for a high score, instead it's more of an increasing difficulty, would be really neat. So I've been working on that concept for a while. If I had infinite time, then maybe I would go like learn Unity or something, but I really don't like programming. I've taken programming classes before and they sucked. The other one, if I wasn't going to do that, it'd be a fighting game. We've played a lot of fighting games here on stream, and it's one of my favorite genres. I have a lot of ideas because of the writing stuff I've done, and some of the character designs you've seen from the different universes of stuff that I create. The characters, I would love to do like a 2D... I don't think it'd be team-based. It'd be a two-dimensional 1v1 fighter. Kind of similar in style to Guilty Gear, or if you go back to a little more obscure fighting game that maybe not a lot of people played, the Bleach DS fighting games, which kind of take a little bit of things from like Guilty Gear and two-dimensional sprite-based fighters. But it'd be kind of like that. It'd be a faster combo-based game as opposed to a little bit slower like some of the more recent Street Fighter iterations. But it'd be more like combo string focus. Maybe kind of like Killer Instinct, more so Killer Instinct than Tekken. I don't like Tekken's combat system, that's why I don't play it. But yeah, first choice would be scrolling shooter. Second choice would be fighting game. All right, let us move on to the next one. Here's another question. I'm pretty sure this came from Twitter too. What's an art style you like and wish you could do? Good question. I think the art style readily that I'd like to be able to do that I currently can't is digital painting. I may have mentioned that before in the past. I would love to be able to do things like a painterly style. I've tried dabbling and experimenting with it, but I don't know how to do it. I have a pretty kind of straightforward, generic drawing style. But being able to do really complex things with painting and shading is neat. I got a lot of respect for people that can do digital painting and physical painting too. I know how to do some physical painting stuff when it comes to like sculpture, but I mean like digital painting and coloring. The artists I'm working with for Halloween, they are doing a digital painting scene for the album art for Lightbane Temple. And it's turning out really cool. I think you folks are going to like it. But yeah, I would say a painterly style is something I wish I could do that I currently can't. I should take a class. All right. Let us move on to the next one. I'm gonna get some noodles too. I'm eating little bits of the pork, but I can get a mouthful of noodles. This next question. It says, if you made an album where you had vocals, what genre would it be? Okay. Back to the music questions. This is actually kind of relevant to the project I've been working on. You folks haven't heard anything from it yet, and I don't know when it's going to be ready to show off stuff from it. But I am working on something. I'll tell you right now, the genre and style of the tracks that are going into this project are a mix of electronic, like synth and rock. So not really synth wave, but kind of some elements of synth wave and electronic stuff. And a couple of the tracks are a bit more electronic, and some of them have elements, but they're more rock. So I would say it's like electronic based rock stuff. A little bit heavier for some of them. Not like hard rock or nu metal. Kind of in the middle. And that's kind of the style I've nailed down for that one. I would like to do a dedicated hip hop one at some point, but I feel like I've done stuff in that vein so far for the few vocal based things I've made. And so this is more of an exercise in like melodic lyrics. So that's what I would do. I think a metal album would be cool too, but it's a level of musical technical skill I don't have. I could probably arrange some like rock adjacent stuff using my loop and my synthesizer. Metal's harder. I can't play the guitar. I have an electric guitar, but I don't know how to play it. I was learning a long time ago, and then I stopped. All right. Let us move on. Almost done with my noodles. I feel like this particular stream wasn't really an exercise in pain. It's kind of a slow burn, and it is hot. You can hear me sniffling and my nose is running. But I'm not physically dying. So I apologize if you folks wanted to see me just get completely owned. It's probably not as exciting. Next time we'll do something with hot sauce. That is unavoidably destructive. So this one asks, what's your favorite candy? So I have a twofold answer to this one because there's two different types of candy that I like to eat. I try not to do it a lot because I'm trying to watch my figure and not be a total unhealthy mess all the time. But first answer is for chocolate-based candy. I mentioned before when we were talking about like cake and whatnot, I do like chocolate. I try not to eat it a lot. One, because it'll keep me up at night because I can't have anything that has caffeine, even trace amounts in it. And two, it's generally not good to eat a lot of chocolate. But chocolate-based candy, my favorite is Butterfinger. I really like peanut butter. And I like the crunchy texture of Butterfinger when it's like flaky. I know it really varies depending on the batch you get. Sometimes it's really like hard and tough to bite through. I don't like that. I like it when it's light and crunchy with that inner like peanut butter wafer and then chocolate covered. Fruit-based candy, I have a different answer. And I was looking around online because I could not find this candy anywhere, and I'm pretty sure they just stopped making it, which makes me very, very sad. And my favorite fruit-based candy is an old, like, I don't know, is it like 20s era? It's old. It's probably older than me by a little bit. But the candy's called Lemon Heads. And they're these little round yellow balls of like lemon-flavored candy. They've got kind of like a soft, chewy outside and a crisp, harder, like inner candy part. And it's kind of tart on the outside and sweet as you eat it. I love Lemon Heads, but I cannot find a store that carries them. My local drugstore down the road for me used to carry the theater boxes, like the 12-ounce theater boxes, but they don't stock it anymore. And I think that drugstore is going out of business because I went there to get my COVID shot and most of their shelves were empty. Lava says, I remember Lemon Heads. They've been around. It's just the last few years, it seems like they just stopped making them. And what I did, because I wanted to see if I could get some online, I bought a pack of the smaller theater boxes in like a gross set on Amazon for like $11. Individual boxes. I said, okay, well, I'm just going to get these and then I'll have some. It showed up and all of the boxes were melted. It's like the whole thing had been stored in a warehouse and covered in moisture because they're shrink wrapped in plastic for the entire case. It's like 12 of them. But the moisture had gotten all the way through, so when I opened them up, they were all like melted and fused into a solid thing and they were gross. I couldn't eat them. And that was really annoyed. So I just chucked the whole thing. And I don't know, I might have to look into getting a refund. It's gonna be more trouble than it's worth, but that was incredibly disappointing. But yeah, so I would say Butterfingers for chocolate, Lemon Heads for fruit. I like Cadbury cream eggs too, but those are pretty seasonal. I bought a whole bunch of them when they were being sold around Easter, and I just stuck them in the freezer. They freeze really well if you like Cadbury cream eggs. All right, moving on. Another video game related question. This one says, favorite 8-bit and 16-bit video games. Okay. So for my 8-bit choice, it's pretty clear and an easy pick. I've talked about it a little bit on stream here before, so you folks might have heard me say this. For 8-bit, like NES era, my favorite game is Blaster Master. And I think the last time I talked about it is when we played through the first Blaster Master Zero here on stream like a year and a half ago. Might be a bit more of a less common pick, but I really like the combination of aesthetics and presentation and music in the first Blaster Master. It's pretty difficult too. It's a hard game to beat, but there's always one that I can go back and play through. And I really enjoyed the spin-off reboot series for Zero. I still need to play the third one. Might do that on stream. Play the second one, play the third one. 16-bit's tough, though. Because there's so many games in the 16-bit library, specifically Super Nintendo, because I don't have a history with Genesis. But thinking back to all of the games in the 16-bit library, I kind of have to separate them by genre, because like my favorite RPG would be different in a different class than like my favorite action game. That's a hard one. When I saw this question earlier, I was thinking, I don't know what I'm gonna pick. Because my favorite Super Nintendo RPG is Breath of Fire 2, but I don't think I'd say it's my favorite 16-bit game overall. Yeah, that's challenging. There's some that fight for that top spot, and for different reasons. Like Mega Man X is pretty high up there. I don't think that'd be number one, but it'd be in the top 5, I would say, of all-time favorite games. Super Metroid would be up there. Link to the Past would be up there. Mario World and Yoshi's Island would be up there too. Demon's Crest is another one. I think we played that one on stream a long time ago, from start to finish in one sitting. That's another one that is probably not in people's top 10, but I love Demon's Crest. It's one of my favorite games. I think I also Lufia 2. You folks hear me talk about Lufia 2 a lot. I think I'm going to go with... Oh, there's fighting games too. I forgot. I played so many 16-bit fighting games. Killer Instinct, the arcade. The NES port of the arcade Killer Instinct I played with my brother a ton back in the day. And Lava says, I gotta go now, Raku. Have fun. All right, Lava, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad I got to answer your questions while you were here. Appreciate you hanging out, and I'll definitely catch you in the next one. All right, I got to make a decision. I think I'm going to choose a game. This is going to be kind of weird because I said a different game for my favorite RPG. But 16-bit game, I'm going to go Chrono Trigger. Even though I didn't say it was my favorite RPG, it's probably my second favorite RPG after Breath of Fire 2. But as far as a game on the Super Nintendo system, I'm going to say Chrono Trigger. It's one of the most genre-defining games to come out of that era. And I have a lot of memories attached to that one. And so I kind of put it in its own class, even though it doesn't top my JRPG list. It comes close. I think my JRPG list, like top 5, would probably go Breath of Fire 2, Chrono Trigger, FF6, then Lufia 2, then Secret of Evermore, and Secret of Mana after that. That's... Having Secret of Mana not be in the top 3 is a super hot take. But I think I talked about that on one of the recent streams. I like the style of Evermore a little more. I like its quirkiness more. They're both good games to me. But yeah, that's a tough question. So many good things in the 16-bit library. It's probably my favorite era of video games, Super Nintendo. Good stuff in NES, obviously, but yeah, tough to kind of narrow it down. PS2 would be another era I have to really think hard about. Would I say that God Hand is my favorite PS2 game? I don't know. Because Nocturne is there. P3 is there. You have R-Type Final. It's one of my favorite games. Armored Core. Even though I played the first Armored Core on PS1, I didn't get into the series super hardcore until Armored Core 3. And that was PS2. I don't know. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm almost done with my noodles. Is this the last question? I think this is the last question. I'm not going to out the person that asked me this, but I decided to include it because it's funny. Sorry, I'm just eating a piece of pork. Question asked very simply: are you a furry? I don't think anyone has ever asked me that directly before. The short answer is no. I'm not a furry. I know furries. I have friends that are furries, and they're good people. But do I personally identify with, being an animal or having like a fursona? No. But I have no ill will toward furries either. As long as, again, they're cool people. They tend to get shunned by a lot of the internet, I know, but I got no problems. I got no beef with the furry community. But that was definitely a strange question to ask as part of this. Not as weird as some of the ones I got last time, admittedly, but there you go. That one will be on record. I'm gonna kind of eat the last few bits of noodles here. Let me double check, make sure that's the end of the list. Yep, and then it goes back to the top of the list. Well, maybe we shouldn't just leave that sitting on screen. I'll just minimize or hide the source for the questions. But that was everything that I compiled from both the Space Bee community Discord, which I probably should have dropped when we had people coming through. Oh well. I need to remember to do that. But yeah, good questions, you folks. Asked some pretty interesting and thought-provoking questions. I don't know how hot the takes were. I guess we'll see, depending on who watches the VOD and blows me up in the comments. But what I'll probably end up doing, the Q&A channel on the community Discord is not going anywhere. It'll still be there for you to ask me questions. I don't know when I'm going to do one of these again, so I may just answer any questions you put in there directly, and unless I'm working towards doing one of these again, at which point I'll just tell people I'm going to use them for that. So yeah, keep using the Q&A channel if you have a burning question you want to ask me, as long as it's not too weird. But let's see. As far as the food challenge goes, again, just little bits of noodles I'm finishing up while I'm talking here. I will think about in the future how to up the ante a little bit, up the stakes. I think if we go like true Hot Ones style, and maybe do like chicken tenders with dipping hot sauce, that's gonna hurt me a lot more, because I have some really hot sauces. Well, that's okay. We're still entertaining to try and get through answering the questions while eating spicy noodles. And I managed to go the whole stream without drinking anything. Now that I'm done with the noodles, I'm gonna grab some milk. But let me go and double check and see who is online to raid. We'll look at wrapping up the stream in a minute here. Unless anybody else has some last minute questions you wanted to ask me. I think what we'll do is we'll call it here, and then we'll look at doing something else in the future. The next milestone is 300 followers. I don't know how long it's going to take me to hit that, but maybe we'll do something different. Maybe do like a karaoke stream or something at 300. I don't know. I'm not in a rush to just accumulate followers. Just let it happen organically. You folks have been super chill, just hanging out and following. Red Dragon says, could do a bits cheer to ask you questions, answer, or donate to charity. Yeah, could do something like that. I do need to go and start researching some stuff for the actual charity stream concert thing I want to do. I still do want to do that for the end of the calendar year for Extra Life. So that's another thing I got to think about. After Halloween, I want to get through the Halloween music release first. But let me go check the homie list and see who's online. Let's see. Oh. I see Mycelia Corpus is online when my VTuber appears. She is playing hit RPG, MMORPG rather, FF14. We can go see how that's going. I don't know anything about FF14, but a bunch of my friends play it. We can go over there and see how things are going. And I see at the last minute, Red Dragon has redeemed 5 hydrates. I appreciate that. I know you didn't do it before because I was trying to go the entire stream without drinking, so thank you for relieving me from some of my pain. It's been 2 hours. My milk has gotten room temperature, so that's not great. But let's go ahead and do this. We'll pause and go to outro. Where is my outro? There we are. And we will call that a stream. Once again, thanks for hanging out, folks. Hopefully this format was fun. We haven't done it in a while, but like I said, I enjoyed answering questions and chatting with you folks as usual. We will be back on Sunday this weekend. I might be moving the stream up a little bit earlier. I might do 1 o'clock, but we will be playing Monster Hunter. We'll be resuming our grind through the endgame of Sunbreak and working on final builds for weapons and probably talking about a lot of the Monster Hunter news that hit with all of the wild stuff we've been getting this last week. So if that sounds fun, then feel free to stop by. It'll be a good time for sure. Until then, have a good rest of your evening /night /morning. And thanks for hanging out. And I will catch you in the next one. Now let's go see how the Final Fantasy is going. Catch you in the next one.